everybody. Welcome to week 3 of our winter story time. Today, we're going to talk all about a cold weather animal, polar bears. But before we do, let's sing our welcome song. Are you ready? Did you bring your peekaboo hands with you? On the count of 3, we'll sing. 1, 2, 3. Peekaboo, peekaboo, I see you, I see you. I see your button nose, I see your tiny toes. Peekaboo, I see you. All right, are you ready to sing nice and loudly with me? I'm sure you know the words by now. On the count of 3, we'll try it. 1, 2, 3. Peekaboo, peekaboo, I see you, I see you. I see your button nose, I see your tiny toes. Peekaboo, I see you. All right, thank you so very much for singing with me. Now it's time for our first story. This one is called Pup and Bear, and it's by Kate Banks. We start here in the cold forest. Whoosh! When the gray, great owl swooped down, screeching, "Hoo! Hoo!" the Arctic wolves knew that the big freeze was on its way. They took shelter in a snowdrift, and they listened to the fierce wind holler and roar. They watched the snow blow in spirals, wrapping the world in a fluffy white coat. But then the wind's bitter cold breath turned warm, and the sun appeared. The big melt came, and one lone pup found itself on a sheet of ice, spinning out to sea. The pup slid into the water. He swam and swam. When he reached the land, he burrowed into a snowbank. He was tired, and he wanted his mother. The pup closed his eyes and fell asleep, listening to the throb of silence across the still landscape. He woke to the feel of a cold nose against his fur. The smell was familiar. It was a polar bear. "You are not my mother," said the pup, flaring his ears against his head. "I am not your mother," said the polar bear, "but I can cuddle you and keep you safe." The pup was shy and frightened. "Aren't you going to eat me?" he asked. "Polar bears eat wolves." "Not this one," said the polar bear, shaking her head. "Climb on my back and I will take you to my den." The pup stretched a paw forward cautiously. Then he climbed onto the polar bear's back, and they crossed the tundra under the watchful eyes of a trio of baby puffins learning to fly. Back at the den, the polar bear licked and cleaned the pup. "I am not your mother," she said, "but I can feed you and keep you warm." The next day they set off across the wintry tundra. When they spotted a walrus with long, sharp tusks, the polar bear bellowed and chuffed. "Where are we going?" asked the pup as they neared the water. "I'm not your mother," said the polar bear, "but I can show you where to catch a fish." They passed a snow goose perched on a nest of eggs. They sniffed the trail of a seal as he tried to outsmart them. And they stopped at the water's edge, where the fish and the lemmings came and went in the wondrous wheel of life. The sun shone down on the crisp, crackling snow, and the polar bear rolled into a snowbank. "Come on," she said to the pup. "I'm not your mother, but I can play with you." But when the pup tugged too hard at the polar bear's fur, the bear growled. "I'm not your mother," she said, "but I can scold you." Then she nuzzled the pup and tickled his tummy. Tired at last, the pup curled up against the bear, and they napped, listening to the wind whimper and sigh. The earth turned round and round, and the big freeze came, followed by the big melt, until at last the polar bear nudged the wolf, who wasn't a pup any longer. "I'm not your mother," she said, "but I know it's time for you to go." She nuzzled the wolf one last time, and the wolf nuzzled her back. Then he walked out into the wide world. The wolf howled to the midnight sun, which glowed on the horizon, where day ended and night began, and he was answered by the cry of another wolf. Soon he was leading his own pack across the frozen tundra. Then one day, the wolf came upon a polar bear cub huddled in a snowdrift. "Where is your mother?" asked the wolf. But the cub didn't know. The wolf sniffed the cub and rubbed its fur with a wet nose. "You are not my mother," said the cub, cowering. "I'm not your mother," said the wolf, "but I can cuddle you and keep you warm." "Aren't you going to eat me?" asked the cub. "Wolves eat polar bears." "Not this one," said the wolf, shaking its head. "Climb on my back, and I will take you to my den." The polar bear clambered onto the wolf's back. "I'm not your mother," said the wolf, "but you can stay with me until you're big enough to be on your own." And the wolf led the pack back across the tundra, along the path that went round and round in the wondrous wheel of life. The end. There are our bears. All right. Will you try a rhyme with me? First, we need to learn some motions. I need to see where your hair is. Can you show me your hair? And can you show me a house? And we're going to look all around. Look, 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 look. And then can you show me something big? And something small? And something tiny? And then we're going to count. 1, 2, 3. Those are all the motions we need for our rhyme. I'll say it once first, and then we can try and say it all together. Are you ready? On the count of 3, it goes like this. 1, 2, 3. When Goldilocks went to the house of the bears, oh, what did her 2 eyes see? A bowl that was big, a bowl that was small, and a bowl that was tiny, and that was all. And she counted them. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do it again, only this time we're going to talk about chairs. Are you ready? When Goldilocks went to the house of the bears, oh, what did her 2 eyes see? A chair that was big, a chair that was small, and a chair that was tiny, and that was all. And she counted them. 1, 2, 3. We'll try the beds next. Are you ready? When Goldilocks went to the house of the bears, oh, what did her 2 eyes see? A bed that was big, a bed that was small, and a bed that was tiny, and that was all. And she counted them. 1, 2, 3. Last but not least come the bears. Are you ready? When Goldilocks went to the house of the bears, oh, what did her 2 eyes see? A bear that was big, a bear that was small, and a bear that was tiny, and that was all. And they growled at her, grr, grr, grr. That's how our rhyme goes. Do you think we can say it once all together? I realize they're not necessarily polar bears, but today we're celebrating all bears. Are you ready? On the count of 3, we'll start with those bowls. 1, 2, 3. When Goldilocks went to the house of the bears, oh, what did her 2 eyes see? A bowl that was big, a bowl that was small, and a bowl that was tiny, and that was all. And she counted them. 1, 2, 3. When Goldilocks went to the house of the bears, oh, what did her 2 eyes see? A chair that was big, a chair that was small, and a chair that was tiny, and that was all. And she counted them. 1, 2, 3. When Goldilocks went to the house of the bears, oh, what did her 2 eyes see? A bed that was big, a bed that was small, and a bed that was tiny, and that was all. And she counted them. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh, here come the bears. When Goldilocks went to the house of the bears, oh, what did her two eyes see? A bear that was big, a bear that was small, and a bear that was tiny, and that was all. And they growled at her, grr, grr, grr. Thank you for saying that rhyme along with me. We're going to move on to our next polar bear story now. This one is called Polar Bear Morning, and it's by Lauren Thompson. You might recognize this little guy from Polar Bear Night. Here we go. Here he is. The morning is chill and bright. From her cozy den, a polar bear cub peeks out at the snow and ice and clear blue sky. The little bear hears the seagull's faraway call. She sees the sparkling snow. She clambers out into the day. Again, the little bear hears the seagull's call. She sees them twirling together above the far drifts. The polar bear cub watches, wondering. She sets off across the snow and ice. Suddenly, a snowy something tumbles down a little snow hill. The polar bear cub sees a snowy face. She sees snowy fur and snowy paws. It's a snow cub! They look at each other. The little snow cub scampers away. The polar bear cub follows. The little snow cub climbs the snow hill and tumbles down again. The polar bear cub climbs and tumbles too. The little snow cub runs fast towards the glinting sea. The little polar bear runs fast too. The two bear cubs sprint beside the sea, swiftly, swiftly. They race past the seals. They rush past the walruses and whales. High above, the seagulls whirl on the wind, calling. The polar bear cubs pause at the ice's edge. Before them, the waves toss and flash. The sea spray salts the air. All at once, the two little bears jump into the sea, together. Here they are, swimming. Snow, sea, and ice, and the wide blue sky. Friends. All right, and that's the end of our second story. I think we have one more song. Let's see, we need to do some motions here. Can you show me some polar bear ears like this? And we're going to point up north, way up north. Then we're going to say no, 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 no. And then, let's see, we're going to swim. And we're going to stay nice and warm. All right? Those are all the motions we need for our song. I'll sing it once first, and then we can sing it all together. On the count of 3, here it goes. 1, 2, 3. The polar bear lives in Alaska. He never gets cold in a storm. He swims through the icy cold water. His heavy coat helps keep him warm. Warm, warm. His heavy coat keeps him warm. Warm, warm. His heavy coat keeps him warm. All right. Can you sing along with me? On the count of 3, we'll try it. 1, 2, 3. The polar bear lives in Alaska. He never gets cold in a storm. He swims through the icy cold water. His heavy coat helps keep him warm. Warm, warm. His heavy coat keeps him warm. Warm, warm. His heavy coat keeps him warm. All right, and that is all of our stories and songs for today. We have one more song to sing before we move on to our craft, and that's our goodbye song. Are you ready? On the count of 3, we'll sing it together. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Yes, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. it's time to say goodbye. Give a wave and wink your eye. Yes, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Goodbye, friends. We try it once more, nice and loudly. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Yes, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Oh, it's time to say goodbye. Give a wave and wink your eye. Yes, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Goodbye, friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Come back in just one moment and we'll be ready to go with our craft. See you soon. Welcome back. Today for our craft, we're going to be making paper plate polar bear masks. What you're going to need are a paper plate, a black or brown marker, either a popsicle stick or some yarn or string, some scissors, a white piece of paper, and either tape or glue. Today I'm going to be using tape. What you're going to do to start is take your paper plate and your marker and draw 2 holes where you want your eyes to be. It might look something like this. Then what you'll do is very carefully cut out your eye holes. This can be a little tricky. You just want to take your time. It's all right if they're not perfectly round, as long as you can see. All right, there's one. Okay. You may want to hold your plate up and just make sure you can see. That looks pretty good to me. So now we're going to move on to making the rest of our polar bear's face. I'm going to start by drawing a triangle shape, kind of a rounded triangle like this. Then I'm going to color that all in to make our polar bear's black nose. Alright, we've got a nose. And then from there, I'm just going to swoop out 2 little kind of C shapes on the bottom of his nose to make his mouth. There we go. Then we need to make our polar bear's ears. You can use any kind of white paper you might have at home. I happen to have a little scrap of construction paper, so that's what we're going to use here. And the easiest way to do this is to fold your paper in half. That way you only have to cut this once. And we're going to cut out sort of a letter D shape. You see what I've drawn on here? Let me cut this out. Should end up with 2 ears. I'm going to take my marker and just make a little C shape to make the inside of my bear's ears, like this. And now they're ready to attach. You can glue your ears on, or you can tape them. In this case, I'm going to tape one ear to the back of my plate. And then the other. So now my bear looks like this. You can actually take a little additional tape if you'd like, just to help your ears stand up a bit in the front. So that's what I'm going to do. This works the same way with either tape or glue. Now they're standing up nice and perky. And last but not least, you need a way to be able to hold the mask in front of your face. You can either take some string and make a little hole here and a little hole here so you can tie it around your head, or what we're going to do today is take this popsicle stick. I'm going to put a little tape on the back. Uh-oh, that's kind of sticky. Little tape on the back here. And then when we hold it up, I'm a polar bear. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope to see you back here next week. Bye.